How's everybody doing? I'm about ready. Hope you all are doing okay. 1 second. I want to try something. Woo! What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of STATURDAY Chat Live. Tech check, thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me and it sounds okay. I'm doing a few different things on this stream, testing out some new stuff, which I will elaborate on here in a few more minutes, but I want to make sure everyone can hear me. So just give me a thumbs up. I can hear you. Whatever else in the chat, so I know that you are actually hearing me. I will wait 1 second just to make sure. All right, thumbs up. So, welcome to November 20th, our STATURDAY Chat Live. My fellow standard deviants, I hope you are doing well this Saturday. I have some news about the channel and what we're going to do with some live streams coming up over the next several months and this, that, and the other. So I do want to, I'd be amiss if I didn't say happy Thanksgiving coming up to all those who celebrate. Obviously here in the US, we celebrate Thanksgiving this coming Thursday, usually where we all get together with friends and family or our adopted families, or sometimes we just have a nice Thanksgiving on our own, which is completely fine too. And I'll be visiting my grandparents and stuff, which I don't get to do very often because of COVID and everything else. I'm going to see my grandparents this Thursday, which is fantastic. And yeah, so happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there who celebrates. And I wish you would have a good week. So on that note of giving thanks, I want to thank all of you all for being part of this channel, being part of the live stream, being part of the community of learners that we have here, and we will continue to grow as time goes forward. So I want to thank you. Without you all, what I do is not even possible. So thank you. All right. So what is going on? Some updates. I do want to tell you that over the next, next 6 weeks or so, I'm going to be making some upgrades to the YouTube channel and the live stream. So what I have done is I've invested not quite a bit of money, but a fair amount of money on a few upgrades for the live stream, especially, and then the YouTube channel specifically. So for the live stream, my goal is for beginning next year in January, I'm going to try to have a higher production value, sort of a more structured type show here and there. More guests on and things like that, but I had to make some upgrades on the software and hardware side to do that. So I just recently got this little dude here. Can't see it. This is a Blackmagic ATEM Mini, and this allows me to have multiple video sources. So I can have this main camera that you see here. I can have a B camera. I can actually have a wireless camera that's coming today. So I'm hoping to up the production value of the live stream, have some variety in the camera angles and other stuff like that. So, but I didn't want to do that today because I just got the switcher, and I have some other things coming today, and trying to experiment with you all like in 1 day's time would have been a disaster. So I'm going to practice this next coming week because I am off my day job this coming week. And I'm going to try some different things, some different experiments, record myself, not live, but just record myself to see how it looks and feels and sounds and the sync and stuff like that. So I'm hoping to have all that sorted out over the next few weeks, over the holidays. And then when January rolls around, I'll be ready to have all those bells and whistles and cool things that we'll do on our live streams here. I hope to have maybe small giveaways, like I said, some more guests, some other types of maybe segments where we do fun stuff, maybe trivia, spin the wheel or something like that. So I'm going to make some upgrades to this because I love having you all here every other Saturday. And of course, upgrading these other things will allow me to do other upgrades on the YouTube channel. If I do any online teaching, in any platforms, will allow me to do that. So I can hook up a tablet. I can hook up other things to this little switcher. So that's coming up, but I want to take my time to do it right, because once you have all these different things connected up, weird things can happen. Like there can be sync issues with your audio and video. Things don't always play together nicely and stuff like that. So I don't want to experiment on you all here. Now I am using a different tool. If you didn't hear the music, so I'm going to have some different music, some sound effects and stuff like that. So let's see. There we go. We powered up. So I'm just going to try some different fun things and stuff like that. Now, if you have comments, questions, whatever, put them in the chat so we can get rolling on the discussion and the Q&A and whatever else you want to talk about. So I'm not just sitting here rambling, talking about cameras and microphones and stuff like that. So feel free to drop your comments and everything else into the channel. All right. What do we got here? Dustina, can't wait. Here we are. Don't have to wait any longer. So it's good to see you. Good to see you. All right. Vainbow, I guess I got this. Thank you. Good to see you are. Moscow Lights, good to see you. All right. Yep. Vainbow, Saturday Night Live, Saturday Chat Live. It is noon here where I'm at. All right. So I'll keep an eye on the chat and I'll give you a couple more updates on where we're going. I do want to plug that super chats and PayPal tips are welcome. That helps keep the channel going. It helps me do great comments. It helps me do captions for the videos, and of course, make whatever upgrades I need to make these videos good for you. So if you have a dollar or two or whatever, and the super chat would be very helpful. If you have a couple of dollars put in the PayPal tip jar, that helps me. That helps me get the videos professionally captioned and do other investments. So if you can, I appreciate it, but I know not everyone can. So I'll put that back up here in a little while. All right. So what am I working on the channel? And I'll bring up your chat comments here in a second. So I'm continuing my work on the playlist on variable transformations. So I think I'm 4 videos into that playlist at this point, and then I have the next several videos queued up where I will discuss additional reflection of variables, where we switch the skewness, usually from left to right. We change sort of the position on the axis so that it meets the requirements of regression a bit better. So I'm going to have the square root transformation, logarithmic transformation, and then the multiplicative inverse transformation. And then we'll get into other things, more complex transformations. We'll talk about normalization, standardization, and things like that. So I have a long series of videos planned ahead, and I will have some time coming up over the next 6 weeks or so. Like I said, I get next week off of my 9-to-5 day job, and then the company I work for, Engaged Learning, was very gracious enough to allow all of us to have the time between Christmas Day and New Year's Day off. No vacation time has to be used. It was just there. Mental health, spend it with your family, relax, which is very, very generous of them. It's a great company that really does take their employees, mental health and everything we've been going through, very seriously. So I will have some more time to work on some stuff. So, but I'm gonna keep going on that. I'm wrapping up hopefully a deal with a very high quality sponsor on the channel. So I do not accept. I get requests for sponsorships every few days. So this company wants me to promote this. This company wants to mention this or whatever else, and I say no. Well, I've said no to all of them for the past couple years. However, a new sponsor, I think, is going to come on board. We're in the final stages of getting that sort of put together. And it's also one that can benefit you. Like, I want any channel sponsorship to benefit my viewers, to benefit you, which is why I turned down everything as far as sponsorship goes. So I'm hoping to announce that in the next few weeks before the beginning of the year. And I will talk more about that as the weeks go by, but I think we're getting pretty close. We're getting pretty close. But again, it will benefit you. So thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you. Show a bit of appreciation. Abidjith. Again, as I always say on the channel, I do my best to actually pronounce everyone's name the best I can. And if I happen to get it wrong, I sincerely apologize, but I think everyone deserves to be called by their actual name, so I try. So thank you very much for the super chat. It's very, very kind, very generous of you. Bahavana, thank you very much for that super chat. Thank you for the amazing content out there, and thank you for stopping by the channel and learning with me. So I'm very happy to have you here, and for your generosity of the super chat, but also of your time. So thank you very, very much. All right, let's look at what else we got here in our chat here. All right, let's see. Let's do something fun. Does that even work? You're hearing these really goofy sound effects. I'm just doing goofy sound effects to make sure it works. All right, so where are we at? Okay. Could you please give me a scenario where statistics is used in machine learning, like hypothesis testing, when I build a machine learning algo model, when number of dimensions more than the number of records? So before I try to answer this, a couple of things. First of all, I do my best to answer these type of questions within the framework of this live chat. I am not a human encyclopedia or like Wikipedia or anything like that. So I do my best to answer these in this sort of context. So if I'm not able to answer your question fully live, I apologize, but I can always do some research and maybe find something else if I cannot. But let me try to address this from the best I can. So things like hypothesis testing are often not as applicable in machine learning contexts. It's a different way of analyzing data than classical statistics. That does not mean, however, it's not useless, but in a machine learning context, we're doing things differently. So our train test split or doing cross-validation or something like that, it's a different way of looking at it. However, knowing classical statistics and the criteria of inferential statistics specifically help keep our assumptions in check, help us look at our data in a more complete way, so we don't go in and make a bunch of mistakes. All right. So I think knowing them is good, but usually in my experience, using a machine learning context like a traditional hypothesis test doesn't necessarily apply in that or like data science. But it's good to know. Obviously, it's good to know. When number of dimensions more than number of records, what I can say there is dimensionality reduction. So you can do things like principal components to reduce the number of dimensions potentially, or hopefully maybe get some more data. Obviously, when we have many features relative to the number of observations, we can get into trouble. So oftentimes we will want to reduce the number of dimensions, check and see if all of the features are relevant. So we can do some preliminary EDA, look at some correlations, look at things like that to see whether or not all of the features are actually relevant to our model. So there are different things you can do. Obviously, that's not necessarily my area of expertise per se, even though I do dabble in stuff like that. But those are something you can do. If anyone else in the chat has another suggestion, feel free to drop it in there as well. All right, I am way behind on the chat, so I'm going to get in here. All right, maybe I'm in a graduate time series analysis class. When is the time series playlist coming? When there are 36 hours in the day and people actually pay me to do this. So I'm doing the best I can. However, I am getting closer to probably that playlist. The thing is, everyone wants something different. Like time series, obviously, is what we discussed in the past. Design of experiments, people want. We've talked in the past. People want me to do some, some machine learning type videos for novices to ML, which I think I'd be good at doing. So it's just having to pick one and finding the time, and it's just so hard. It's just so difficult. But I'm going to do the best I can. Okay, I can't make any promises, Vainbow, but I know it's one of the several topics people really want, and it's just a matter of time, honestly. All right. Your videos are great. Thank you. Manjunath, thank you very much for that comment. Lunatic Fringe, hello. Hope you're doing well. All right. Missed the last couple of live streams. Glad to catch this one. Thank you for stopping by, as always. Validation set versus test set. So I'm not sure what the question is here, but sometimes we just do a train test split, whatever percentage based on the number of observations we have. Some techniques, some people have a validation or a holdout set that they can also have. It just depends on the criteria. There's no hard, fast rule in this. Of course, if we're doing cross-validation, it's like 5-fold cross-validation, then we're going to have 5 training sets and 5 test sets, and then kind of average them all together. So the validation holdout set is something people do, some people do not do. When I read about machine learning and stuff, sometimes I see it, sometimes I do not. So I think it will just depend on the criteria or the project you're particularly working on. All right. Can't thank you enough for the amazing content you're putting out there. You are very welcome. You are very, very welcome. So I wish I could do more for you, but I do the best I can. What about making a video on uncertainty of models? Can you be more specific? Because uncertainty can mean a lot of things, Sandeep. Is there something specific, like a topic, that you might want me? I'm getting my notepad. You know me and my notepad here. Between my notepad where I take notes and diving for books, that's my exercise for the day. All right. So, yeah, Sandeep, if you can put like a specific topic in there, I will take a look and see, what that might entail. All right. Okay. Hi from Romania. Hello. Hi. Hello. It's good to see you. Iulia, hope I said that right. Could you please help with a roadmap into math for data science, please, for someone who hasn't been great at math since the beginning? Very common topic. So I think it just depends on how far you want to go down the rabbit hole. I don't necessarily think a person has to learn a whole lot of mathematics to be a practitioner and implement machine learning and data science. If you are someone who is working on a graduate degree or a PhD into the algorithms and other things like that go into those models, then obviously you'll have to learn a lot of math. But I tend to think that just having a basic understanding of mathematics, maybe going up through like partial derivatives into calculus, if you want to go that far, and that might be it. Obviously, knowing the basics of matrix operations will help. So some linear algebra or finite math, however you want to view it, would be good to know. But I don't think you have to really go deep into the weeds unless you really want to. So I would say, obviously, a decent foundation in, the kind of math you'd have up through high school, depending on where you are in the world, is good. Up through maybe the first level of calculus is kind of knowing, what derivatives are, and then some linear algebra. I will say one area of mathematics I think goes understudied is probability. So you might want to learn a bit about probability, which is often covered in finite math and linear algebra classes, to get that under your belt, especially if you're going into Bayesian type statistics. You will obviously need to have some background in probability. But I think that's probably it. It's knowing enough math to understand what you're reading, both in terms of notation and the concepts. And I think that's probably enough, in my opinion. Some people will disagree, but that's kind of how I see it. Good question, though. All right. Oh, thank you so much for the super sticker. Um, Jack Rishna. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Again, if you have a couple dollars or whatever else to throw in the super chat, it really goes to helping the channel. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay. Going back up here. Video at the line requirements of ordinary least squares. I think that's what you're referring to here, Sandeep. I'm not sure what you mean by line requirements. So if you're referring to whether or not each feature, if each variable has to have some sort of linear relationship to our dependent variable, is that what you mean by uncertainty? Yeah, again, these things are hard to decipher because they mean different things. So we'll keep working on it. Obviously, Sandeep, I see that you're on LinkedIn. So if you want to, you can send me a message on LinkedIn and kind of elaborate on what you might be interested in, and I'll see what I can do. This is sometimes hard to do it on this sort of setting. Okay. Again, when am I coming to India? I would love to come to India. You have no idea how much I'd love to come to India. Obviously, COVID makes that more difficult right now. Can't really travel anywhere. It's still very difficult to travel. But I'm hoping to travel more once COVID's never going to go away. We will be dealing with it probably forever. So, we just have to see how that goes. But India is on the top of my top 3 list of places I want to go as soon as I can travel more. And I'll probably need some of your all's help because, I don't travel a lot overseas or out of the US. And I'm kind of a newbie. Going halfway across the world would definitely be an experience for me. So I might need some of your help to know where to go and where not to go and what to do, what not to do. What might be a good place for a first-time traveler to India, coming from the US especially. And I might need your assistance in that. So hopefully soon. I really, really, really want to go. Really want to go. But also have a good experience. Like I want to go to India and not have to worry about a whole lot of things necessarily so I can enjoy the trip. I'm not spending my time worrying about just getting around, So we can talk more about that. All right. So amazing. Huge fan from Ethiopia. Oh my goodness. That makes me so happy to see viewers from different parts of the world. I've really noticed an increase in the number of viewers, connections on LinkedIn, viewers here on the live stream from Africa. So I am really excited about that, and thank you for coming by. I really, really appreciate it. A few segments on reliability analysis. I will jot that down on my notepad here. I'll see what I'll do some research and see what I can do. All right. Thanks for your efforts and content. You are very welcome, my friend. You are why I do it. So I'm glad to see that you enjoy it and it is beneficial to you. All right. Reza 45, hello. Good to see you in the live stream. Thanks for stopping by. All right. Let's see here. Use your content for statistics, but I think what I appreciate the most is your words of encouragement at the beginning of each video. Well, thank you for that very, very kind comment. What I've learned through decades now of teaching is that oftentimes the main barrier to learning is just believing that you can and overcoming the anxiety. In this case, oftentimes math anxiety. I think we had I had to go back and see the other viewer who talked about never did very well at math. So math anxiety especially seems to be a universal thing. A lot of people come to YouTube and my channel specifically when they are in dire straits, like they have a test or an exam or a job interview or something like that, and they really, really need the help sort of right then. And I know that they are frazzled. I know that they are under pressure. So the first thing I try to do is put every person in the mental space psychologically, emotionally, and everything else to learn. Because if you're not ready in that sense, learning is very difficult. So I know people come to the channel needing help. That's oftentimes why all of us go to YouTube. It's like how to whatever is probably one of the most popular things on YouTube. How to whatever. And I know that people come needing that help, and I try to put people in that space, you know. Plus it's like um I don't know. You feel like you are heard and listened to. And I always approach my work on YouTube and everywhere else like I'm talking to someone who is sitting, you know, in their apartment or house or dorm room or cafe, or they're sitting out in a park, wherever, on the the bus, subway, wherever you might be. I try to approach it like I'm sitting there talking to them. You know, like when I did all the tutoring in the past, um, like I'm sitting right there with that person. It's just me and you. We're gonna sit down here together, take a deep breath, realize it's gonna be okay, and we'll get through it together. You know? So that's why I focus on the quality of the content, not only technically, you know, with all the gizmos and gadgets, but also the way I structure everything. So I respect your time because you came there to learn. And my if my attitude is anxiety driven, that's going to translate into you. And I don't want to do that. So we want to put everyone at ease in the position to learn, and then we can go. So that is my 2 cents on that. But thank you. Quick tip, visit the south of India and western coast of India first. You'll enjoy that more. Well, thank you very much. I will keep that in mind. I know that I don't know a whole lot about India, of course, you know, which I will learn if I'm going to go. I will learn a lot more. I know the north tends to be more. At least I've heard the north tends to be more historical, I guess, and then the west and south tend to be I don't know what more Western is not the best word. I can't think of the right phrase. It's not insulting or whatever. But along with this, your comment here is what people tend to say. So we'll talk more about that. All right. So video says again, after years of studying statistics, I think there's a real issue with a lack of statistics teacher professors who are good at teaching. Most of them are excellent at statistics. But just not at teaching, delivering the knowledge like you are. Well, thank you very much. It's very kind of you. I do see myself as a learner first, and then a teacher second, and that is how I approach it. Like I'm a learner first, and then a teacher. And honestly, it doesn't necessarily matter what I'm teaching. It could be teaching you all statistics on YouTube or wherever else. It could be, you know, teaching my brother how to drive a manual stick shift car, which we had fun last year doing that, or, you know, teaching my nephew something, or teaching my neighbor how to do something, or whatever else. It doesn't really matter to me. I just like that process of teaching someone something and of course learning something. So I approach it from that perspective, and hopefully that comes across. That's my goal. So thank you, videos. I really appreciate it. That's very kind of you. All right. I'm gonna put this back up here again. So super chats and PayPal tips, welcome. It helps the channel in terms of support. So those of you who have put in a super chat, I really appreciate it. It really goes a long way to help to keep me going and on this sort of thing. All right. So we're at 30 minutes. Again, I try to keep this. I always say 30 minutes, but it never stops at 30 minutes. I try to keep it under an hour at this stage. So perhaps the possibility of blending survival and reliability. So I can write that down. Survival analysis, reliability analysis as well. All right, put that on my list. Yes, so please drop your comments, questions in the chat, and I will answer them the best I can. So while I'm waiting on anyone else to post a comment or a question or whatever, I will kind of update you on a few more things, just so you know what's coming up. So like I said, I am going to finish out, hopefully the next few weeks, this sort of playlist on variable transformations, they're so powerful, yet people don't use them. Like, you can really, really tighten up a model just by looking at the variables and transforming them in a way so that they meet the assumptions of whatever type of test you are doing. It's such a very simple thing to do. And if you haven't gone back and watched those videos on variable transformations, this last playlist I'm working on, go back and look. There's one of them in there. Well, I just kind of ran some machine learning models on the untransformed data. Then I went in and did my transformations on the same data. And like the amount of variation explained, like went up like 5%, which is a lot, for a lot by just doing a simple variable transformations. So I really want to get those techniques out there because I just think there are things like that, and there are other things too that are very simple that people can do in their data that can really, really tighten up the model, reduce the prediction error, and be better at what it's supposed to do. So I'm going to continue that sort of playlist. I don't think it gets talked about enough. So I'm currently working on the next video on that, and I'll probably finish that out between now and the beginning of the year, approximately. I will say that educational YouTube definitely takes a big dip after like the first or second week of December because they all follow the academic calendar, the typical academic calendar. So this is like the busy time on educational YouTube because people have finals coming up and final projects coming up and everything like that. So this is the biggest time of year for educational YouTube channels. In the spring, like in April, in the spring and April, that's the second hump. So I tend to release content that follows the academic calendar the best I can. And yeah, so I'm going to try to get through that playlist. So all right. Okay. All right. By the way, there are tons of machine learning content on the net. Absolutely. Some of them are very good. There's nothing as good as yours on the classical statistics. No one does it better, so please build on that. I will keep doing that. So there is so much to do. Like I've always said, when I ask for like what I should do sort of next on this channel, we have this massive list of things to do. There's never any shortage of stuff to do. It's just picking the one that I think will make the most impact and the things I can work on quickly and what people really need. And it's just so hard to do that. So yeah, I wish I could do it all, but I can't. Do the best I can. All right. As far as the machine learning stuff goes, I have thought about that kind of stuff. Like I want to develop a machine learning course or curriculum or whatever that is so clear, especially for people that are new at it, that someone in like high school could understand it, or maybe even younger, some of it. So I think that's where I'm at my best. I think that's where I'm at my best. So I've been thinking about that, but like you said, there's so much content out there already. Whether it's on YouTube or Udemy or just websites in general, books. There's just so much stuff already that I want to make sure that I'm adding to it. I'm not just just putting something out there that's already been done a bazillion times. But I do have ideas on how I would approach it. And back to the point that started out this this live stream. So I've invested, well, by the time this is all done, I will have invested about $1,500 into upping the content of the live stream and the channel and other stuff I'm going to do. That's a lot of money. Yes, but to do these things, you have to invest sometimes, So what that will allow me to do, when I have this switcher thing that I bought, which I mentioned earlier, this focus. What this will allow me to do is hook up other devices to the live stream. So I can have a camera here, but I also have like maybe like an overhead camera that I can like show from overhead. I can connect like a tablet or an iPad and write on that and switch over and like draw things or work something out or show something. Where I can have multiple sources to show and demonstrate things like that. That is the goal of doing higher quality, higher level content. So that's why I like put the super chat stuff in the channel, because doing this costs time and money. And then every little bit helps. And speaking of that, videos, thank you so much. That is very, very, very generous of you. It really means a lot. Thank you. Thank you for that. So I didn't have to do that much, but thank you. I appreciate it. Could you also talk about interpretation of variables after transformation and also with interaction higher order terms? So the first thing in that list, the variables after transformation, I have talked about that in the first 4 videos of this new playlist somewhat. And then as I go into talk about specific transformations specifically, I will go into more in depth. So the next video, we're gonna talk about the square root transformation. So of course that we have to keep in mind that we're not working with the original data anymore. We're working with that transformed data. So our interpretations, especially if we reflect the variable from left to right skewed, we've completely flipped the direction of that variable and then transformed it with some function like square root. So obviously we have a reflected and then transformed via square root variable. That's going to change our interpretation. And not only that, we have to be able to reverse that process to get back to our original scale, our original data, if we're reporting something out to a stakeholder or something like that. So, and document everything, of course. So yes, so the variables after transformation can be tricky if we don't keep track of everything and understand what we did. So yes. So again, videos, thank you for this for the super chat. I really, really appreciate it a lot. It means a lot. Okay. So what are the best books in data science space that you recommend practitioners read? Top 2, 3, top of your mind would be extremely useful. You're gonna make me dive to my bookshelf again, aren't you? You said data science, which is see, it's hard because there's overlaps in here between like data science, obviously machine learning and statistics. So I'll put a few up. Some of them you've probably already heard of, but I'll just put a few up. Hold a few up, and you can go from there. So give me 1 second. Ooh, let's see. This one, these, you've probably heard of those. Ow. This is good. This is good. I have so many books. Some of them are not down here. Some of them I can't reach. So you've obviously, this is the one I wanted. This is a good book though. Oh, there it is. So you've obviously heard of these. Very, very well known, very famous books. So you can pick those up. They're about machine learning, of course, but again, there's overlap in these sort of topics. You've probably seen those. I also recommend reading stuff that isn't necessarily about coding and math necessarily, but just about thinking. So this Carol has this Confident Data Skills book that I recommend because it's really about thinking. It's really about the process of thinking about what is going on and how you interpret it and how you set things up. So this is just a good read. Just a sit down, pour yourself something to drink, go outside, wherever you are, sit in your basement. I got my cozy chair behind me. This is a good book just to sit and read. So there we go. So that one is good. This one is good as well. This is the first edition. The second edition I have upstairs. So this is the practical statistics for data scientists. It kind of merges the two together. And this one does have code samples in it. So the other one is upstairs as well. Then you have other stuff like this. So you have the ML using TensorFlow cookbook. It is not really my area. I'm not a big coder or anything like that, but I know a lot of you are. So this is a good one. Oh, I know I do have a couple. Ha. These. So I'm kind of going off the reservation here. Sorry. So this is one of my favorite books, The Machine Learning for Beginners, is good, by Oliver's book. Super nice guy too, by the way. That's a really good book. And then this Machine Learning with Python. I read this entire book, like cover to cover. I read it. It's just a great read. Again, one of those books that's just a great read. I got this like half price. I think Barnes & Noble was the Barnes & Noble by me is switching locations. So a couple months ago, they were trying to get rid of everything in the old store. Everything was like half off. Like everything in the store was half off. So I walked out with like 10 books, and this is one of them. This is a great read. I'm going to read it again. So that one I recommend. There are so many. There are so many good ones. So many good books and stuff like that. It's really finding the one that speaks to you. Sorry, the camera's shaking. I just need my desk and need my knee. Finding the book that speaks to you, find the one that works for you, and then just sticking with that, So I'm still a big believer in physical books. For most other things, I read on my Kindle app, but for these type of things where I'm looking at images and code samples and stuff like that, I tend to prefer an actual book, but they tend to be a bit more expensive. So there are so many books, so many. If anyone else has a recommendation that they like, put it in the chat for everyone else, and we will share it for everybody. I'll put it up on the screen. Everyone can see what your recommendations might be. All right. Let's see if this works. That's a bell. Okay. Channel is underrated. Thank you very much. You are very welcome. By the way, while you're all here, what are your thoughts on YouTube removing the dislike button? So if you've noticed, the dislike count. So YouTube only shows the thumbs up count, but not the thumbs down count. What do you think about that? I have my own thoughts. But yeah. Look, I appreciate that comment, Reza. I've always approached the channel. My channel will never be as big as it probably could because I'm not good at self-promotion. I don't go out there and, make these posts that seem to be like virtue signaling. That's actually self-promotion. I don't put like pictures of myself on LinkedIn all the time, or, try to cozy up with famous people or whatever else. I'm not really good at that kind of stuff. And to me, it feels inauthentic. It feels fake when I do stuff like that. So whatever my channel might be in terms of being underrated, I think I do that on purpose. I would rather have that than, just be grotesquely self-promotive. But look, that works for some people. I just feel uncomfortable doing it, and I rely on you all to spread the word. So, but thank you for that. All right. Data Science for Business by Foster provost. I'm going to write that down. DS for business. I want to look at that. Good. Excellent. Yeah, if you have any suggestions, put them in that chat, and I'll put them up here for everybody, and they can jot them down. And we will share our knowledge and experience. Right? Yun Han. Hope I'm saying that right. Again, I apologize if I'm not. I do my best. Just want to thank you. Your video helped me a lot on my previous master's program. Your video helped me to get my current PhD. I'm not sure about that, but you're very welcome. Thank you for that. Your comment is very, very kind of you, and you did all the hard work, not me. You did all the hard work. So let's all give Yunhan a round of applause for the master's and current PhD work. That is fantastic. And yeah, I'm just a resource. So many people need the help and don't make the effort to go get it. But other people do make the effort to go get it. And that's the difference. So kudos to you for going out and get whatever help you needed. And see, it turns into degrees, which is awesome. So, all right. Add to that question. Could you add a section to your blog website of books or websites you recommend for your subscribers? Yes, I could do that. Website book. I actually did that at one time. So a long time ago, I had a much broader website than I have now. And then something happened. Either something technically went wrong, or was like hacked or lost, or my IP, my host screwed it up or something. So I actually had like a bookshelf on there. So I will, maybe over the next few weeks when I have some time off work and have some, extra time, actually go back and put that bookshelf back together based on some of the books I have. So very good idea. All right. Yeah. Exactly. I'm doing gymnastics over here. Yes, so Vein both classic elements of statistical learning. I don't have the elements printed, but I do have ISL printed. So can you see that? Obviously, this is a very famous one that everyone is familiar with. I had this printed off. I printed it off at work when we were actually in an office. But yeah, everyone knows that one. So that's that. All right. Let's see. A few more minutes. Yes, thank you. This hope offer made me feel much better about the overflowing books I have at home. Yes. I have so many books. I keep thinking I'm going to get rid of them, but I just like books. I just like the feel of books, the smell of books. I just, I have a lot less. Some of you may not know. I think I've told this story before. So when I was in school at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana, I had a really bad book problem. Like I was addicted to like books. So when I moved away from Bloomington, before I took all my books and put them in boxes, I measured each shelf, like each bookshelf. Like I got a tape measure and measured each shelf that was full of books. And it turned out if I were to put all my books in one line at that time, one shelf of books, it was 52 feet long. 52 feet of books. So that tells you how much I love books. I've been trying to keep my book habit in check, but I work for a company that makes books. So, and I've kept some of my books from my graduate school days too. All right. How are you? I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Recently joined TCS. Should I do MS or MBA to be leadership role? That's a good question. I think I have a thought. I'm not going to say it's the necessarily the right thought. You got to ask, obviously, more people than me. Ask people. The best thing to do is to find people that are working in the position or the field that you want to work in. Ask them what their path was to get there, and then ingest that experience and information into your decision making. I'm not saying you have to do exactly what they did, but if you talk to enough people, one, they will tell you about what path they took, and they can tell you about what they might have done differently if they were to do it now. So I tend to think if you want to be in leadership type roles, MBAs in general are usually the path because a lot of MBAs specifically involve leadership type coursework and leadership type experiences. It's more of a practitioner type degree, usually. Each one's different. But the best thing to do is just to ask people who work in the position in the field you want to go in about their path, what they might do differently, and or look at job postings for what you want to do. What are the requirements in terms of education and degrees? Do they prefer one or the other? And then go from there. So, but usually in general, from what I have seen, um, MBAs tend to be more geared towards that. So, all right. So many cool stuff. All right. How do we get the best learn from project under professor if we are undergrads in data science? A couple of things you can do. Number one, take advantage of every project that you have in your coursework. So if you're in a course that has some sort of individual project that's a bit more involved or a group type project, maybe it's a presentation at the end where you have to, gather or analyze some data and then maybe do some visualizations, present your conclusions, take questions. Take advantage of those sorts of practical situations. That's sort of the first thing. Second thing I can recommend is see if you can get involved, even as an undergrad, in research opportunities. So, most universities, especially the larger ones, the research universities, every professor, pretty much every full-time professor has to do research, publish or perish, right? And they oftentimes need help. And they get grant money to do a lot of that research. And with that grant money, they can hire students to work on some of those projects. So see if there are any professors in your department, in your school, that are looking for students to work on their research with them. And you can gain practical experience actually doing those projects with those faculty members, with those professors. And of course, it's not the money's probably very little, but the experience is invaluable. Plus, you get the experience of working with a professor that they're often well known. You can put that on your CV, you can put that on your resume. It can open you up to other networking opportunities through doing that. And of course, since you asked and were part of something, it opens up other doors in the future. So take advantage of your coursework and projects and everything. Work with professors on their own research projects if you sort of can, to get your foot in the door there. And then you can do your own independent type projects. So if there's something that you are interested in, formulate a question, formulate a problem you're looking to solve. Then you can go about collecting the data, analyzing the data, communicating that data, making recommendations, whatever else it might be. And then you can write that up, in sort of a paper form, or you can put that on a website. You could put it on LinkedIn, under your profile for people to see, and you can share it. So independent individual projects are things you can do, and or all the above. So it's really about just taking the initiative to make the most of the opportunities, find new opportunities, and then take advantage of all the media we have for sharing it. That's what I would recommend. Right. Okay. Good questions today. You all are awesome. Could you suggest a book to study statistics? I want to go from the basics. I am biased, but my favorite book has always been this one. I could recommend this one too. So, as you all know, let's do a sound effect. There we go. So silly. All right. So learning statistics from the basics. I always say disclaimer, I currently work for the company that makes these books, but the reality is I was using these books years before I even knew my current company existed. So, when I was tutoring, like when I was in graduate school, I made more money tutoring than I did teaching the college courses I was teaching. That's how much tutoring I was doing. I didn't even know the company existed. So, my favorite book has always been The Statistics for Business and Economics. Okay. This is the 14th edition. I've been teaching with it since its 10th edition. Okay. So I always use this book because it's so clearly written. Its clarity is its strongest suit. You know, it's very easy to understand. It's very easy to follow and flow. And of course, you know, books, you know, books usually change about 10% or so, 10 to 15% from edition to edition. So you can find a previous edition of this used or whatever and just pick it up. And that, you know. So yeah, so that's one I recommend. In the same author group, this business analytics book is one. Again, this is the 4th edition, but you can find like the 3rd or whatever. And this is a little bit more, slightly more advanced, but again, the same tone in which it's written. It's so easy to understand, you know. So you can find those, the previous editions, probably used now, and pick those up. So, all right. So I'm gonna grab another book thing. So those interested, A Visual Introduction to Neural Networks seems to be good. Someone else mentioned this book. So, so this book, this is that book. This is Keller's book. This is a great book as well. If you like working problems, this is the book to have. Again, disclaimer, this is the company I work for, so I work on this book in my day job. But the Keller book, especially like outside the US, is huge. So this is a great book. It's a bit more not mathy. Maybe a bit more mathy. But the way it approaches everything, it has a specific technique on how it approaches problems. And it's called the ICI. So it is identify, compute, and interpret. ICI. That's a framework it uses. So it walks you through the process of how to identify, compute, and then interpret a problem. So this book is a great one too, if you're looking for intro statistics. So all those books I held up, again, I work for Cengage, who makes those books now, but I was using these books before I knew Cengage existed. So I'm not trying to promote things I work on in my day job, but they're just good. And if they weren't, I wouldn't hold them up. So, all right. So again, I'll put this back up so you can see that comment. Visual Introduction to Neural Networks is one that's recommended. So I'm actually going to write that down as well. I guess I could go back and look at the comments. Crap. My notepad is completely disintegrated. Taylor, neural networks. All right. So, yes. Glad you're all sharing your comments with each other. That is great. You're welcome. So Reza says, interested in economics, I recommend Principles of Economics by Mankiw. That's another book that is put out by Cengage, who I work for. I don't know if I have a copy of Mankiw down here. Do I? I don't think I do. I don't think I have a copy of Mankiw down here. Oh! What I do recommend. If you're looking for something that has like a spreadsheet type focus, building spreadsheet and decision analysis and stuff like that, Ragsdale is another great book. It's more on the analytics side, and it's very obviously spreadsheet heavy, Excel heavy. So you can, I mean, you got all kinds of stuff going on in here. So that's Ragsdale. Ragsdale is a very famous book, very well-known book. So you can check out that one as well. All right. I'm recently working on a project associated with Boeing. Will it impact my career? Maybe. Depends on what you do with it. It depends on the project. It depends on what you can share about that project. It depends on what doors it might open. But having that experience is better than not. I don't think it can hurt. So having these opportunities that come along very rarely, sometimes once in a lifetime, and making the most of them can make all the difference, 3, 5, 10 years down the road, you know? So every time these opportunities come up, make the most of them and actually go beyond maybe what you think. So, depending on a person's personality, they might be a bit afraid or sort of timid to ask certain things or like really put themselves out there. But if you have this sort of opportunity, then make the most of it. So figure out a way to take this project, ask the people involved what you can and can't talk about or share with it, and then create some artifact. You know, Sometimes it can just be writing it up for a couple of pages and talk about what you did, why it's important, how you see it impacting your career. And trust me, when you go on job interviews, they're going to ask you a question. They're going to tee up a question like a big, fat, slow curveball that you can just hammer out of the park when they ask a question where you can talk about this. They will cue it right up for you. And then you have this experience with Boeing where you can just knock it out of the park. So you can rehearse what you're going to say. So absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So we're past an hour here. So I do want to respect your all's time and I'm going to relax the rest of the day. Actually, the rest of the day, I'm going to start kind of redoing my work area down here. Like I said, I'm going to try to really increase the production value of all the live streams, which means I'm probably going to disassemble my entire work area here and reassemble it in a new way, which will take a long time because there's a lot of cords. If I were to put all the cords around me right now, like stretch them out, it'd probably be like 10 miles. All right. So, all right. Yep. So the Gerald Keller book is a great, great book. This is the one right here. So that's fantastic. Recommend you can buy the used copy of that one. Yep. Your appearance is like my professor who had done Masters of Science from University of Colorado. That class, like feeling after a long time. I guess that's good. Try to interpret exactly what you were mentioning there. I hope that's a good thing, whatever it is. All right. Last time I will put this up here. Again, thanks to everyone who did put a super chat in today's live stream. That helps me a whole lot. And of course, I have a PayPal tip jar on my channel header on my website if you can do it that way. Again, I know not everyone can do those sorts of things, but if you have a couple dollars, it does really help me in the channel. I do invest a lot of money into the channel. This camera I'm talking to is like $700. This microphone is $400. The audio interface I'm talking in is like $250. The StreamYard software I'm using right now is $400 a year. It just takes a lot of resources to make this stuff happen. And any help and support you can provide is very appreciative. So thank you very much. All right. Now is the last call for any comments or questions, because after this we're gonna wrap this up and I'm gonna go upstairs and have some lunch, watch some football, and work on my streaming stuff the rest of the day and the weekend. So any other questions, now's the time. So while I'm waiting on any more questions that might come or comments that might come across, our next live stream will be 2 weeks from today, which is December 4th. And then I will have to see. Well, yeah, that's fine. So December 4th, and then probably December 18th, we might have like a special holiday stream. I know everyone is in different parts of the world and everyone celebrates things differently or not at all. We'll just have but you know what I'm talking about. Just like a general holiday sort of spirit time of year type thing. And hopefully I might have some of these new changes in the live stream by that time. So on the 4th we'll have one, and on the 18th we will have one, and then probably not again until January 8th, because we have Christmas Day is December 25th. That's on a Saturday, and the New Year's Day is also on a Saturday. So we probably won't have any live streams those 2 days. But 4th, 18th, and then January 8th. All right. How to learn technology fast as project requirement changes rapidly. So this is something I've talked about in the past. We're talking about the tools of data science and statistics and stuff like that, the tools and the software that will constantly change. So what we have to work with now will probably be different in a couple years, maybe even sooner, definitely a few years after that. So I think it's important to learn the concepts that are timeless. Learn the concepts, learn the material, learn the discipline that you're sort of in, and then learn general technology skills that you can apply as things change. So, we all know people, and I'm sure a lot of you are the same way, that are good with technology. And I consider myself one of those people. But the reason I'm good with technology is because I learned general skills when I was a kid. Like, I had my first computer when I was like 10 years old, back in the 80s, dating myself. So I learned generic technology skills that I've taken with me since that time, over the past 30 years or more. So learn the general technology skills that are applicable to a large number of things. And then once you have one you need to learn, then you can learn the specifics of that particular tool. It's like the R Python debate, right? Well, it's always easier. Once you learn one of them, it's easier to pick up the other because you or subconsciously, unconsciously, I'm not sure the right term there. There are things in your mind that are applicable to the second one that you learned in the first, even though it's a completely different, language, right? There's general concepts and rules. Like one I can think of top of my head is like what a loop, like a for loop, right? The syntax is a bit different in each one, but the concept is the same. And of course, that something like that goes into many, many other languages too. But the general concept of a loop, of a for loop in a programming environment is just generic that you can apply in many other instances. So learn the general things that can be applicable to specific technology as it changes over time. That's what I recommend there. All right. So I think that was the last question I saw. So I'm going to wrap this up. But again, it's Thanksgiving week here in the US and other parts of the world, or, we're from all over the place, but here in the US, it's Thanksgiving week. And we give thanks, obviously, for our health and happiness and just being alive. And especially the past couple of years have been really tough. So if you're celebrating Thanksgiving, I hope you have a good week with your family. And if not, if you're in a part of the world that does not have Thanksgiving like we do here in the U.S., still, you'll give thanks for everything and each other and take care of each other and stuff like that. So it's good seeing all of you here on this live stream, and and I'm thankful for you all, obviously, and thanks for those who dropped in super chats. I really appreciate the super chats that you all put in there today. That really, really does help. And just real quick, in the US, how is the COVID situation? It depends on where you're at. So certain parts of the US have higher vaccination rates than others. And while, of course, there are some people who are vaccinated that get sort of mild COVID or whatever else, most of the cases tend to be happening in areas where there is less vaccination, which I think is probably going to be the same everywhere. But I know that there are other areas of the world that are going back into either partial or full lockdown because the cases are on the rise again. but mainly in the unvaccinated population. So here it depends on where you are and depends on the people around you. Where I live here, I would say, it's a fairly high vaccination rate. It's probably not as high as other places, but it's not low either. It's sort of probably in the middle vaccination rate. So everything really around me is normal. Like, it's back to normal. I wear a mask whenever I go into a coffee shop or a grocery store or something like that. But other than that, it's fairly, quote, normal. But I will say this, things have definitely changed. People's habits have definitely changed. At least so far, if I go into a Starbucks to work, the inside of the Starbucks is almost empty, except for the line to pick up drinks, like to go. That line is like 10 people deep, but there's hardly anyone actually sitting in the store. And then the drive-through line is like 15 cars deep out into the road. So it seems like fewer people are going in and sitting down, at least in the one I go to, than before. Like before COVID, it was packed in there. Like there was like 50 people in the Starbucks. It's, decent sized one. But now there's a whole lot of people that sit in there anymore, which is fine with me because I get like the big table and everything to work on. So that's a long way of saying, how is the COVID situation in the US? It depends on where you are. I will say that boosters are becoming available. So I'm going to get mine as soon as I can, my booster for COVID. And I think that'll put my mind at ease as well, because it's been 6 months since I've had my second shot. So I think it's time to get the booster, so. All right. But I hope it's okay where all of you all are. It's a scary situation. It's going to be with us for forever, probably in some way. So just look out for yourself, take care of each other and just be smart and stay healthy. Our health and our life is the most valuable thing, and time, which is kind of the same thing. So we'll all just do what we got to do. All right. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you all so much for stopping by this live stream. You all are awesome. I love you all to death. And I'm very thankful to have you all part of this channel. And look out for some new videos coming up over the next few weeks. And of course, I'll be making some upgrades to the live stream and stuff like that. We'll talk more about as we go forward. But as of right now, I will see you again in 2 weeks, which is December 4th. So thank you all very much. And I will see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.